Thanks very much, Mawson. I'd just quickly like to talk about two things. The broader context and then come back to the specifics. From the broader context point of view, we're currently running Melbourne Knowledge Week in the City of Melbourne. A series of events, 45 or so, of which this is one, have been held on different subjects to highlight the knowledge that this city has. And going to some of those events, it's really interesting to see recurring themes. One of those themes is, of course, collaboration, the fact that we need to collaborate around particular subjects. The other one is the nature of space and the role of space within our city to enable collaboration to occur. Now, just today, sitting here and learning from some of the previous discussions that we've had, it's been really interesting to see the interaction, I think, across a range of the presentations about walkability, about access, about being able to go to particular places to meet people, to get the services. And I think this is one of the critical things that we need to do, is understand how our space and how the use of that space works together. Now, a number of years ago, we ran a conference called Unlocking the Data. And it's wonderful to see that the development over time, that data is now starting to be unlocked in different areas. And of course, Oran is a fantastic example of that. So to turn to the specifics, the data that's being unlocked is now giving us different perspectives on subjects that we are interested in. We've looked at walkability and accessibility. This particular one on housing affordability, a very tough nut that we've all been trying to deal with over many years, I think is really interesting. It's just in its infancy at the moment, effectively. Mawson has developed a number of the components, and it's a pilot that's being tested in the northwestern region, and it's about to go into the portal, and when that happens, others will be able to use it. The idea, it'll be open to researchers, and it's designed specifically to be able to be used by people who are not necessarily highly technical, but people working in other fields. And it's getting access to the data, opening it up, and enabling people to do different things with the data sets to explore different aspects in this particular field of housing affordability. So together with Abbas and Paresh and Jennifer, I think they've done a terrific first job at trying to understand how we analyse some of the data that's pertinent to housing affordability. And if you look at some of the particular findings so far from this project, obviously we need to get still more data access. And I think Mawson touched on a point that we've got ABS data at the moment, but that's only at a general level. We really need to get down to a finer grain level to be able to refine this model more. You might question some of the assumptions behind it, and that's exactly what we should be doing. But because we've got the data, and because we can start to set up some of these assumptions and model it, it enables us to test those assumptions and to query and to develop our knowledge further. We need to get the data standardised, and that's one of the problems that I think we face, not just in this particular demonstrator project, but across a range of them. So if we look at what it's shown so far, potentially 240,000 properties across the northwestern region, and I think that, well, that's just allowing one property per potential existing property if we were to develop them. Now you can question that assumption. Obviously there are all sorts of other factors involved, but when you start getting those numbers at the, when you look at those numbers at the start, then you can start to look at, well, what are those assumptions and how do we test them? So what is the potential? It gives you the ability to put some real integrity around the testing of your assumptions. 10% faster turnaround for application processes. Again, you start to see, well, this could actually help to increase the supply of affordable housing. Transport corridors. It's interesting, isn't it, when you look at this one and you look at transport and walkability and the accessibility that's important, it starts to reinforce the nature of development, that you don't just build out in the sticks. You have to have accessibility, and that will add value to the particular developments that you're creating. And in particular, one of the interesting points I think Wilson made was to me earlier when we were discussing this, is that the public should be informed of this. That although land might be cheap and properties might be cheap in certain areas, you have to look at whether or not investing in those areas is in fact a good idea. Because if it doesn't have the infrastructure, if it doesn't have the transport, that's not a very good investment. And that's one way, by educating the market, to perhaps turn things around so that we can get better outcomes. So congratulations to Wilson and the team. I think a terrific job. And again, thanks to Oren and the Northwestern region and Ian for enabling us to actually do this work and start to get a better understanding of housing affordability.